15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And welcome to today's Spotlight, which is brought to you by Georgetown Branch number 5520, where we are here to what? Y'all should know it by now.
Educate, motivate, activate.
We are here to educate, motivate, and activate. Today, y'all, we're going to be doing things just a little bit different. What we ask is if you would please share this video with everyone on your page, so that way they can see all this information. And please post your comments because you could be featured on today's Spotlight. So first of all, I want to go ahead and introduce all of our hosts, and we're going to start with Miss Marilyn, who is our second VP, and you sit on the chair. Which chairs?
Environmental.
And we have our first VP and youth advisor, Mr. Deontay Winchester. Good morning.
Good morning. How y'all doing out there, everybody?
All right. And finally, but certainly not least, our president, Mr. Marvin Neal. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year. And thank God for being here to serve another day.
Yes, yes, yes. We are so excited because today, thank you for coming on. Hey, Miss Jackie.
Where are you, Jackie?
Yes, our communications chair. So today we are going to be talking and reflecting on 2021. And also we're going to be doing a telethon membership drive. So during this show, we want you to go ahead and call in live and we will help you get a membership. And we'll go over that here in just a few minutes. Matter of fact, if you would like to become a member, I'm going to sponsor somebody. So I'll pay for your first year's membership so that you can become a member. So during this whole show, at the bottom of the screen, you will see our number so that you can call in to become a member. Miss Jackie says that she is resting, y'all. So first, what we want to do is we want to reflect on what has happened the whole entire year. For year 2021, one of the running themes for the NAACP on a national level was we must tell our story, we must tell our history, which leads to a African word called Sankofa. Matter of fact, there was actually a local educational piece that was going on talking about the word Sankofa and what it means in African to actually go back and get it. So we don't want to dwell on the past, but we have to know the past so that we can move forward. So we're going to be talking about our experiences. We want to hear from you. So if you want to come on the show, let us know. And you can go ahead and come in and tell us how the NAACP has impacted your life. So Mr. Neal, we're going to go ahead and start with your greetings first, and we're just going to hit on a couple of points that we've done over the year.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year again, and I'd like to bring greetings from the Georgetown Branch NAACP number 5520. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to a lot of the partners that we've partnered with this year, and just say thank you for the support, the Divine Nine, our sorority and fraternities, the Tide and Health family that we partnered with for COVID, with the AFL-CIO for justice and union support. We partnered with also the Citizens for Progress, Club 142, for all the voting push and helping us getting out the votes and membership drives and call banking and stuff of that nature. Also the Citizens for Progress, the pastors of the community for their great support and always there and stuff when we called, just to help get the vaccines and get it out to their people and just get the voice back into the community and churches. Also, we want to talk about the Empowerment for Change, for their support, the Howard alumni, the West End Civic Organization for their support. So just all those that I've missed, just thank you for your support. We really enjoyed working with you last year. We're going to be asking that support and even more this year because there's a lot of changes that we are dealing with and we can't do it alone. We are stronger together and we are definitely made for more. So I like to just say thank you, especially to the presiding elder Drayton, Dr. Clark, Justin Gamble, Representative Anderson, Ronnie Sabbs, Lee Hewitt, and those that just came in and support us, the parties, the Democratic Party and stuff for their support, and just continuous. We just going to high this year coming in and stuff. And remember, today is the day we want to start off with the in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Abolishing slavery, except in non-rebelling or occupied states like Delaware, Maryland, Kentucky, Tennessee, and other parts of Louisiana. So I think we could start right there with the Emancipation Proclamation where we are talking about the freed slave society.
Absolutely. I really wish Miss Jackie was on this show today because she had a really good post, which I knew about it, but that explained it so well about why Black churches, even to this day, still have watch night service. People think it's just bringing in the new year. It's not just bringing in the new year. Bringing in the new year for Black people at one time meant that they were waiting on the hour every minute, every second until they were waiting to hear that they were free. And unfortunately, in some other areas, they were never told that they were free. They remained enslaved, not realizing they were free, which is why we have Juneteenth. But the other panelists, go ahead and talk about the New Year's and Emancipation Proclamation.
Well, the Emancipation Proclamation was actually signed around September.
Right.
But it went into effect at midnight on January 1st. That's why we celebrate Emancipation Day. So right now, even as we sit and we talk with each other, we're here recognizing Emancipation Day, which is when the enslaved met in churches or bush arbor churches, because, in many ways, actually churches were illegal. Black people couldn't meet in churches unless the white plantation owners was with them or a representative of the plantation. So they were waiting in the woods. They were waiting in the praise houses to get for the midnight hour. And that's where we get that term from for the midnight hour, that they were officially emancipated. And in Georgetown, it happened on February 23rd. So
Wow.
In Georgetown County, and that's according to the History of Georgetown County by George Rogers, which was written back in the 1960s. So we have another day to observe coming up in Georgetown in February 23rd. And of course, with Juneteenth, it took another 2 years, because all this happened in 1863. It took another 2 years for Juneteenth to happen. And I think, we take for granted how fast we learn information these days and don't understand the technology of the day was by horse or telegram, and that the Civil War actually fast forwarded a lot of technology because investment was made in military equipment, investment was made in communications, and in so many ways, I don't want to say it was a miracle, but you speak of Sankofa. It's about allowing history to give us context of what is happening today. And I know you guys have always heard me say there's history always has this thread that connects everything. And so the things that we see happening today, if you pay attention and you understand history, no one should be surprised by what's happening today. And no one should actually be surprised by the reaction to what's happening today. And there are many different reactions, but I do think we need to take time to remember that at the midnight hour, in the darkness of the night, there were enslaved people waiting in the woods, in the praise hours, in the praise houses, praying so that they could be emancipated. And they still were not recognized as humans. That took the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment of the Constitution. Yeah. I mean, when we read, I mean, I get emotional. So yeah, y'all, I'm good. Y'all go ahead and Deontay,
I just had this conversation with a young man 2 days ago, and for me, I have to think about the psychology of it all and how these enslaved Africans must have been feeling in anticipation and the anxiety, leading up to that midnight hour. So as we sit in these services today, and traditionally we hear, it'll likely be a deacon, who responds, and the leader will say, watchman, can you tell me the hour? How powerful is that? Can you tell me the hour when we will be free? How long do we have left until we are no longer property of someone else? Just think about that. The next time we sit in one of these ceremonies, just think about that thing and how they must have been feeling at that moment.
Wow.
And think about it, Deontay, just reflecting on that. When it first came out, it was called Freedom Eve. It wasn't Watch Night service. It was Freedom Eve, and really it ties in with just what you said. It was Freedom Eve, and Jackie will be on in a minute, so watch out for her, Ebony. She just texted me. But when you talk about freed slaves in a Confederate state, it really tells us the story about where we still right now still fighting for the same thing.
Same thing.
It's the same thing we're still fighting for. When you're dealing with insurrections and and voting rights, just think about it. A voting right bill that's been being fought for. Man died for. John Lewis just died for. Dr. King died for. Then you think about Desmond Tutu.
Yes.
These guys. Nelson Mandela, and apartheid. Just think about the sacrifice. When you say Sankofa, you think more about when you say go back and get them. Think about the Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. Go back and get them. That's what she was saying. Go back and get them. And Deontay reflected on it. Imagine what was going through their mind from the psychological standpoint, because she had to pull a gun on some of them to get them to go to freedom. Mm-hmm. These were men she had to hold a gun on. You know what I'm saying? And today we still have to hold gun on some men right now.
I think the problem is, Mr. Neal, a lot of them don't know that they still ain't free.
It still ain't free. And it's not the physical gun we have to hold on men right now. Because sometimes our objectives, our thoughts, and our ideology gets in the way of the things that we should be doing, versus what we are doing. So the gun is still held on a whole lot of people. We got to hold them to the gun. And that's where the term came from.
But Marvin, I think that's where knowledge and education, we talk about educate, motivate, activate. So let's talk education right now and knowledge. With greater knowledge, we have understanding. I think that we have older generations. One of the things that we have not done consistently is pass on knowledge. And it has hurt our younger generations, because if you don't pass on the knowledge, you're going to get the knowledge from someplace. And so there's a lot of miseducation. And I'll give you one example. Quite frequently I'll hear, and it tends to be younger folks who will say, I'm not like my grandmama or grandpa, towards an offense from someone that doesn't look like us, they'll say, you better be careful because I'm not like my granddaddy. I'm not like my great grandparents. I'll fight back. When they don't realize they did fight back. There were revolts. There were not only revolts, but there were work stoppages. There were actually, I'm not going to call it murder, because when you are enslaved and you take someone's life because you're seeking freedom, I don't call that murder. I call it probably self-defense. Yeah, you killed somebody, but they killed people. They made people sick. They would grind up glass and put it in their food. That's a form of rebellion and revolt.
Yes.
But you're not going to understand that until you read and study your history.
That's
And beyond what we learn in our schools, because I see school, that's foundational. It gives you the reading and the writing and arithmetic. But for you to really start getting knowledge, you got to go beyond that. You got to spend some time in your libraries, the physical libraries, but also the libraries represented through our elders. But on the flip side of that, our elders have to share the knowledge also. And I understand why it's hard to share some knowledge, because in many ways it's very painful. It's very painful.
It is.
My aunt, and I know y'all know this story. The KKK burned a cross in her yard, and we lived next door to each other. In 1968, I was 3 years old. I was a grown adult before somebody actually explained why there was bullet holes in the windows of her house, the little shotgun pellet holes, because it's painful for her to talk about.
Wow.
She talks about it more now, but it's not something she brings up in conversation. But Steve Williams has interviewed her. We'll talk about it casually and stuff.
Yes.
But it's nothing that she'll bring up because she just kept on doing the work.
Right.
But we're blessed that she's still here, that now she's able to talk about it. But look at the lesson even in that we can learn.
That's right.
And she is deep, Marilyn. She is deep. The history of Miss Charles Ann Button, that's who she's talking about. I call her Mama, because she is deep. When I remember back in 1996, I was still in the military, and I ran into her and Miss Josephine Howard. I was just home on vacation. I stopped by a school board meeting, and Miss Howard Jean Brown. I stopped by a school board meeting, and Miss Sarah Hudson and those. They were all in the group, and I said, wow. They said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm thinking about retiring. They said, well, you better get back home here. You and your brother, y'all better get back home because we need y'all here. And that stuff, it rests on me and stuff, for someone to say that, and for you to tell the story now, what she have endured, it's mediocre stuff when we talk about it now. But
right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because what they have done, they told me, no, you have to be a part of this. That's how I became a part of the NAACP. They told me I will be a part of the NAACP. And Sarah Hudson said, no, you need to be the president of the NAACP. Because I know you. We raised you. But that was the village concept of raising people. It wasn't a Howard Choppy and Rosemary and all that other stuff. It was one village. It was the Black village that raised Black children in Georgetown between Howard Choppy and those. That's why it was so strong then. And we can't lose sight of that concept, What
were you going to say, Ebony?
So, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining today's Spotlight, which is brought to you by Georgetown Branch number 5520. And we just want to wish you a happy new year. What we are doing today, we are reflecting, using the theme for 2021 that we must tell our story, and hashtagging the Sankofa and what it means and why we need to reflect. Just do a little bit of reflection so that we can move forward. You can't move forward unless you know where you came from, so that you can know how to move forward. It's not just about moving forward. You have to move forward with intent. with strategy. And one of the things that we were talking about is for New Year's and what it meant to the enslaved people. Because for them, they might not have had a day off, and New Year's wasn't this celebration as it was for the white counterparts. But back during Emancipation, when Lincoln was signing that for enslaved people, that meant that they were waiting into the new year for their freedom. And so we actually have our communications chair, Miss Jacqueline Williams. She's here with us. We have our first VP, Mr. Deontay Winchester, and President Neal. We're going to bring on Miss Jackie now. Good morning, Miss Jackie.
No more sleep for you.
No more sleep. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. If you can just give us, we can take the next maybe 2 minutes just to kind of talk about the emancipation before we move on, and just talk about the different highlights of 2021.
Sure. Good morning. First, I want to say, Ebony, I threw it down in the comment section. I will sponsor a membership for somebody as well. So if you have more than one person that's interested in a membership, let me know and I'll sponsor somebody as well. But I think one of the very interesting things about emancipation and and putting it in the historical context as far as slavery was concerned, and and what it meant to the freedom as far as our people are concerned. And some people may or may not agree with this, but if we really just looked at this with the naked eye, we would truly understand that while we are so happy that Abraham Lincoln did this, we also have to understand that it was more of a political move than wanting Black folks to be free.
That part
that part right there. And so so I say that because real freedom for us in 2022 starts with being able to speak the truth about what we know as it relates to a part of our history, and and being able to speak it from the perspective that we know it. Other people speak it from their perspective. We have got to be able to speak it from the perspective of what we know, because we are still experiencing it. So the whole thing about it wasn't because he felt that there was just some unjust or wrong done to Black people during that time period, and that that suddenly he had an awakening, an epiphany, and went, this is wrong. It wasn't in a moral context as much as it was in a political context. And I think when we understand that, and we begin to have conversations within our community about emancipation, which today, for me, I think one of the things that's a little disappointing is when we go into worship services and there is no historical context about emancipation. We go into worship services and it's about, oh, we've survived this year and we're going into the new year, and everybody wants to talk about new beginnings, but we're not teaching the historical context about how we got to New Year's, which was once originally called Freedom's Eve, before we started calling it New Year's, and the significance and the relevance. So it goes back to what you all were saying, and that is, I think Marilyn was talking about remembering the history, because, and I think you said it too, Ebony, because if we don't teach the history, and if we do not remember it and help our kids to understand it and help us to be reflective of it, then we are prone to making mistakes that we shouldn't make. And so, we have to do that. I'm willing to bet that in most churches on last night, nobody sang Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. I'm willing to bet nobody sang Go Down Moses. I'm willing to bet, nobody sang Sit Down Servant, Rest a Little While. These are all songs that were sung around Freedom's Eve, waiting with anticipation, the news of what was to come.
Miss Jackie,
songs like,
and
yes,
I
ma'am.
want to pause right there because you're so right. Not only were there songs sung around New Year's, but it was also an encrypted language. They could be out in the field working, and if they were some kind of planned device, they'll sing that song, and to a slave master, that they thought it was just singing, but that might have been the clue that you need to go move down to the river.
Exactly.
You might need to meet them someplace else. And for those of you who are just joining, Happy New Year. We are on the show today reflecting on 2021, which is the Sankofa theory of looking back or reflecting so that we know how to move forward. And with that being said, we're going to just go over some highlights for 2021. The thing about the whole idea of looking back, and like Miss Williams and Miss Hemingway were talking about, it's about education, but it's the right type of education. Not only do we need to train our children, but we need white people also to be interested and open-minded enough to learn that history also. If not, and everyone for that matter, so that they understand that, so they can understand and maybe try to conceive why things are the way they are right now. Ms. Marilyn just said it. She can remember crosses being burnt. I'm only still in my 30s, and I can remember when certain things happened, and no wonder we're still dealing with these same issues right now. Thank you so much, Ms. Williams, for sharing that with us.
But Ebony, think about it. Just think about critical race theory right now with everything that you just said. And now we're in the fight not to tell our story, you know what I'm saying, to our children. And that's the disconnect even within our own generation and families. So we have to tell it at home. Like Marilyn said, her mother always talked to her about not taking the library to the graveyard. That's why you have to tell your stories at home, because the fight is going to continue in the systematic discrimination process that we are dealing with right now. And we're dealing with right here in Georgetown, everywhere else too. We are making some headway, but still the fight is people coming up right now, creating workshops to talk about why we should not tell history. If someone's history is that hateful and damaging, how bad can it be? You see what I'm saying? And our children we're not talking about their history. We talk about our history. We're going to talk about what happened to us and what we went through. What they went through and what happened to them, let them talk about it. It can't be much but great things, because our story is not the story of joy and happiness and over the rainbow. We were down in the valley, and like you said, the song, Let's Go Down by the River, that was a song of let's go down and come together and see how we're going to come out of this condition that we are in right now. That's what the slaves, that's where enslaved people were talking about. Those that was being treated less than a human being. It's so unhumane, the type of treatment that we receive. And that's why I keep telling people we weren't slaved. We were enslaved people by people. And that's what happened. We weren't slaves, so we need to get rid of that conversation about when we were slaves. I can't stand to hear nobody talk about that. Let's talk about when we were enslaved people, because some of us are still enslaved people, whether it's mentally, how folks deal with us, what we accept. We are still enslaved people. When we say don't talk about that, even though you're being mistreated, you're being discriminated against, don't talk about that. That's enslavement. When your mind is to the point where you can't release what's happening to you from a dehumanizing standpoint, that's an enslaved condition. And that's the things we have to talk about and come out of it. We march because of those conditions.
That's right.
You know,
That's
telling
right.
pastors they can't show up at a trial because, you know, pastors they're assisting someone from a spiritual standpoint. Telling a pastor, because you're a pastor, you can't show up. That is nothing but the devil. How deep do you get?
Right. That's right.
So
You know,
we have to really get real about what we're doing. And this new year, we're going to tell our story. Whether they want to hear it or not, they can put plugs in their ears or whatever. We're going to tell our story.
that's right. That's
and it's
right.
not going to be just Black History Month. We're going to tell it in what we do. From housing discrimination, okay? Yep. From what we call the CARES Act, okay? Money being pushed to one side of the county saying it's fair. We're going to talk about reparation. All those things are enslaved and things that was taken away from us, and we can't even talk about it anymore and do anything about it, and got people in place. All that stuff ties together.
That's
with
it.
voting rights and power and everything else, because it's all about power.
It is. It is.
Where your power is the question.
That's it. Miss Marianne Mackey actually put up a really good post about what economics mean today. But real quick, y'all, I'm just going to run down some of the topics that we talked about during 2021. And once I list those, anybody can jump in and list some more that maybe I forgot. Mr. Neal, you mentioned a good one. We have talked about systematic racism. We have talked about encouraging people to get involved and participate. In a few minutes here, we're going to have somebody from our youth council come in, but we've also talked about actions that create equality through equity. Big difference there. We've talked about power without standards and why so much corruption happens because we don't keep those people accountable. We've talked about COVID-19. We've had great folks, Dr. Harmon from Thailand. We've had Dr. Winston McGyver come on. We've had Dr. Jackson from Charleston come on. We've had experts to come on and talk about the impact of COVID-19. What else happened during 2021? The impact of January 6th insurrection. And we hadn't forgot about that. That's something that we're going to have to move forward with in 2021 and keeping these folks accountable. Folks are still being prosecuted. We've talked about the problem with the filibusters. We've talked about voting, which Mr. Neal has already talked about. We've even talked to COVID survivors that have come on this show and talk about their experiences. We have helped people apply for COVID funding for rent. We've talked about climate change and pollution. We've talked about the importance of local election, COVID vaccinations. We've talked about workers' union and the importance of that. This particular one we talked about recently, which is the threats of violence on TikTok in schools, which lead to, Deontay, you might be able to speak about that when we get to the youth part, about how this impacts our students, our youth, and their mental health, and how social media influences our play a role in bullying. We've talked about redistricting. We can just go on and on and on, but those are just a few things that we've talked about. And right now, Deontay, I want to go ahead and just give you the floor so that you can talk about the great work that you've done with our youth council number 5959, as well as being the brand new director for colleges and universities.
Coordinator, regional coordinator. I would actually like to bring on a handsome young man. I think he gets it a little bit from his father. This is DeAndre Winchester.
Where is he? Oh,
No, he looked better than his father, hands down, man.
good
Hands down.
morning. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
So, we actually haven't done as much as I would have liked because obviously we're still being um, impacted by COVID, and we're uh, directed from national and state that we still can't meet in masses and things of that nature. So a lot of things are still virtual and things of that nature. But we're praying that things go for the better and the trends set us in a direction where we can start meeting um, in large again, and we can start getting this thing back together the way that it should be. We talk about sponsoring memberships as well earlier today. Many of you all have made yourselves available for sponsoring a member. I would like to sponsor one adult, and we've already got in place a sponsorship for the first 25 youth. So if any youth 18 and under, by regulation it's actually 20 and under to be a youth, but once you're over 18, we like to push you more towards the adult branch so you can begin voting and get indoctrinated to that system. So go ahead and call in if you or anyone you know has a child that would like to be involved and get a little bit of education in the areas of political action, social justice, volunteering, community service. It's so many things, and what I like to do is I like to put um, community leaders in front of these youth, individuals that look like us who are doing great things, so that they know that it's possible. Um, Judges, lawyers, politicians, all of these type of people that we sometimes aspire to be, but we don't see too many of us in those positions. So um, right now, I'd like to open up the floor to Dre, and I want you to tell me a little bit from your perspective. How have you been affected by COVID this year?
Well, I have actually gotten infected by it, and I've had COVID before, and it's pretty tough. You can't really do anything.
Talk a little about it.
You can't really be in light. You can't talk. You cough a lot. You lose your voice. It's really hard. You can't really be around your family because then you will infect them. And yeah, you can't really do anything. And I can't see my friends. And even though I don't have COVID right now, I still am getting affected by it mentally and physically.
Tell me a little bit about your schooling situation. Are you going to school in person right now?
No, I am going virtual and it's pretty good, but I would hope to go back in person to meet new people and new friends. I'm currently getting vaccinated right now, so hopefully by the time I get vaccinated, all three of my shots, I could go back in person and meet new friends.
How did that first vaccine shot affect you? How did you feel afterwards?
Well, my arm sometimes when I touch it or put pressure on it, it hurts, but it doesn't really affect you in any other way than that.
Did you get sick at all? Or
No, I haven't gotten sick, anything, and I haven't did anything yet to get sick, so I think that's also part of the reason why I haven't gotten sick yet.
what would you, if anything, tell other parents who might be kind of wondering whether they should or shouldn't let their child get the vaccination? Do you think it's a good thing to do?
Well, if they're up to it, I mean, I'm personally scared of needles and I don't really like them, but I think you should if they're around my age, which I'm 11. I think you should give them the vaccination if they really want to go back to school and meet new friends like I do and meet new people.
Good job, son.
Now that's spoken by a child, okay? And we all including the adults, can really benefit from what he just said just now. Great job.
And Ebony, if you think of what he just said, it's so articulate. He's so articulate about what he said, how he, delivered it. It speaks volume on a learned child. He's being educated, obviously, by family and the people that's around him. I contributed that to Deontay, his father and stuff. That's why it's so important that parents get into the lives that make sense about what's going on. Medical experts talk about situations like this. That's what we need to listen to. Those that's the experts in the field. And when we get back to that point, we'll be fine. Because this stuff is no joke. I had my set of twins. They had COVID. They didn't even know they have it. We didn't know until we tested them. Coming out of the Christmas holiday. But it's just the things that they go through that you just don't know about. That's why it's important to stay on top of the game. We went got tested. Mine came back negative and stuff of that nature. But still, you have to do these things to make sure that your children and your family is taken care of. We lost another community member this morning, right here in Plantersville, from COVID, and have another one in the hospital from COVID. Young community member. We just lost this morning, New Year's Day. Strong community person. You can ask for a better person. Lost her this morning. I don't want to say her name anything because the family haven't said anything about it yet, openly so. But it's some pain that we bear and stuff for. And it's not that she didn't do the right thing; she did the right thing. But it's just the impact of COVID. You can't protect yourself enough, so take what's out there.
Right. That's it. Just like Deontay's son, Dion, was just talking about his experience with having COVID and the vaccination. We are urging everybody, go ahead and get vaccinated. I am still running into people just still getting their vaccinations, and we all going to have to get on the same accord with doing that. Now with the COVID, hold on, I was just on one place here, but can you talk about, Deontay, the psychological effects of just COVID in general with the youth, and the role and what's happening with the students?
Well, when we talk about the psychological aspects of COVID, well, the biggest thing is I would say COVID anxiety, which is which we refer to a lot of times, where an individual like myself, I experienced it. Recently, I got a cold, and I got tested twice because when I started coughing and things of that nature, in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, I done got that Delta. I got that Omicron. I got, and I can laugh about it now, but in my mind, I was seriously considering, what would be the physical things that would happen to my body if I did get this virus. So that's one big thing. And it's even worse for youth because a lot of times they don't understand everything about the virus and what it'll do. So another thing that we look at is like my son, he's still going virtual. So isolation, and he talked a little bit about being separated from his friends and wanting to do regular kid things, play basketball, run around, have fun. A lot of times, a lot of parents who want to be very cautious, we're not allowing our kids to do that because we don't know if other parents are taking this as serious as we are. And that's affecting the kids in a major way as well. So
Right.
another thing that we have to look at too is, the type of media that they're consuming. Because if they're not outside, they're not playing, they're likely at home, they're playing their video games, they're looking at YouTube, they're on TikTok. And I know that we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but a lot of these things going on TikTok can really bring harm to a lot of these kids. And we have to, as parents, remain cognizant of the media, especially social media, that our children consume. Um, and another thing is bullying via social media. And I know we hear that, and as adults, we think to ourselves, well, it's on a computer. If you're getting bullied on a computer, just cut the computer off. Just quit talking. But it's not that simple. Once someone says something to us and we hear that, we can't unhear it. So even if that computer is shut off, even if they do log out, well, guess what? They're still in their mind what was being said to them. They're still already thinking about the things that were being said or done to them on that media platform. So communicate with your children. As I said, remain cognizant of what type of media they're consuming, and always check behind your children in these media browsers because for those who don't know, I'm actually a child and family therapist, and a lot of times, these parents will come to me and they'll say, "Well, I didn't know that my child was looking at X, Y, and Z." And a lot of times, I don't know. It could be a porn site, it could be this site, or it could be uh, whatever myriad of different things. But they'll say, "I had no idea because my child didn't act any different. My child didn't." Say anything about it, but I had no idea that this was going on in their life and that they were doing this with this laptop or this tablet that I gave them uh, until I checked behind them. So always check that media browser. Always check that search history and figure out what's going on and what they're actually doing. Um, I'd actually like to ask you, Dre, do you know anything about these different TikTok challenges and things like that.
Hold on, you got yourself on mute. Look like.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I actually asked him if he could talk a little bit about some of these different TikTok challenges and things of that nature that could possibly promote violence.
well, there are TikToks where they don't promote violence. People that do these TikToks, they just do them for fun. They think they're fun, and they don't promote violence. They use controllers and like gaming console controllers as guns, I guess you could call them. And it's like school shootings and stuff. And they don't try and promote violence, but they just do it for fun. And sometimes they get paid for it.
So, from your perspective, do you find these types of things to be fun?
I don't really laugh at them. I sometimes skip them. Sometimes I just watch them. Sometimes I just let it play.
So
Okay.
I have a question for little Deontay Jr. there.
Yes.
I don't understand how those consoles work. I came up during the time where we had a Nintendo, and it had a big old box disc, and you stick it in there and you push it down, and you had to blow it out sometime in order for it to work. So I don't understand the technology that you're talking about. So you're saying that if you're playing a video game, somebody can act like they're doing a mass shooting on the game?
Uh, well, in the TikToks, they use the controller that actually does the stuff that's on the console or TV screen. They use it and they hold it in their hand and they do this little gun motion and they act as if it's a gun. And that's just really. You're probably talking about
So
some.
so what I'm understanding is they're using this controller as like a prop gun. Almost.
Yes,
Okay.
it's not actually a gun.
So is this virtual reality or is this
It's like it's an actual. They actually use the controller that you use to play on the platform as a gun visually. It's actually a real thing.
so because many of these uh video games we already know are problematic, and I'm just going to say it because many of them have been created by white males, and you have a history of misogyny, violence. So the average video game is violent, and you can see it. What the movement has been is to get more minorities, including women, becoming creators. And my background in computer training, I've been talking about this for the past 25 years, and because I taught computers with Bell South for a few years. And I taught adults, but I would talk to them about their children being creators rather than consumers. At the time, I was thinking more in terms of career opportunities, business opportunities, economic opportunity. But what's even more important, and this is where Deontay comes in, and listening to his son, is the emotional impact, the development of the brains. And by and large, video game creators, whether it's virtual reality or something you're hearing about now on TikTok, that's just the method in which it is delivered. But the content has always been very violent.
Excuse
Very
me.
violent.
May I add to what you're saying right now? Well, a career opportunity is, you know, the popular game Call of Duty and Fortnite like that and stuff. Well, it is a career choice you can do. You can create your own game and you get paid by it. You know, like if a kid comes up to you, like my age or something, they would ask you if you can buy them this on their game so they can use it to get better or do stuff on the game. And that's how the creators of the game and people that help create it get paid. So that is actually a career choice you can do if you would like to, but most kids don't do it.
Yeah, because we are teaching our kids to be consumers rather than creators. And I know all y'all know I'm big on ownership and careers and creators, because I was just reading recently where ideas, what in your head you can create, is where you can create a career, where you can actually create independent wealth, generational wealth. And what this young man is talking about is just simply technology is the means to do that. But we have to balance that too. We have to, yeah. Deontay it's I totally agree with what Deontay is saying. Our kids are being impacted. And I'm on TikTok, y'all. I love TikTok. That's my new thing. I'm a little addicted. Um, but I recognize you have to use a lot of discernment, because you can see,
do.
you can literally see the algorithms working as you swipe those videos, and the next videos that come up, it's what you're looking at, and the algorithms literally are working as you're swiping. Because if I swipe something on dogs, the next 2 or 3 videos will be about dogs. If I swipe something that's about video games, the next 2 or 3, that's how fast it reacts. And it gets in your mind, and you don't even realize it gets into that addictive personality thing.
Right. Well, you know,
Not
I
only
think
that, let's talk about conditioning. You know, when as these youth who are already very impressionable play these types of games, it conditions them, or it programs their brain through a process of learning to understand or to believe that some of these actions may be socially acceptable. Because in this gaming environment, in this virtual reality, that is created by some of these, as you said, white males, it's kind of, um, it's kind of teaching them that a lot of these things, like mass shootings, possibly, or even hypersexuality. When you look at things like there's one popular game called Grand Theft Auto, and the way that you win the game and you get extra stars and extra money is you got to rob people, you got to kill people, running over police, all kinds of things of that nature. So what are we teaching our kids playing a game like this? And I wonder if our parents even understand when we buy these kids these games, what is that game actually, what's entailed in that game? You know, do we really understand what your kid is playing when we buy these games that they ask for? So do a little bit more research before we buy these things.
Right.
I would,
So
like to add
So
the career about how it can be a career. People these days, well, teachers and principals and stuff in schools, even virtually, they're also teaching us how to code, like code.org. If kids are watching this broadcast or stream, they will know probably most likely. There's over hundreds of thousands of people using this automatic code thing that teaches them how to make games and codes and stuff. It remakes it basically, and it gives them the concept of coding and stuff. And it won't just be white males anymore. It can be anybody, as it be a woman, a male, a black male, black woman. It could be anybody now that they're teaching kids these days about coding. And I've also gotten taught recently about coding.
So recently, there's what he's trying to say is there's recently been a very targeted effort to get more minorities in these types of technology fields, and that's why we see in a lot of our schools now these code programs and things of that nature, and different things that have to do with STEM.
that is pretty cool, and we appreciate you so much for coming on to this show to talk about your experience with COVID and the impact of TikTok and gaming consoles and social media, and representing our youth council number 5959. We're so very proud of you. You seem like like Mr. Neal said, he's so articulate. I like to hear him talk. Come back on the show anytime to talk about your experiences and things that you can lend to our audience. Thank you.
Future president. Future president.
Thank you, Fanny.
You are
Thanks
so
for
Ebony.
having me.
Go ahead.
Ebony, I think I loved everything that he said, but I think, just as a side note, with these challenges and TikTok and gaming consoles and how these things operate, I don't know if you all saw this, but 3 days ago, there was a story out that talked about Alexa, the Echo Smart speaker, who this young lady, a little girl, 10 years old, asked Alexa for a challenge to do. And Alexa actually gave her a challenge to do, which was potentially lethal. She could have actually electrocuted herself. And so, so now that is a whole nother level or layer of conversation as parents that we have to have with our kids, because artificial intelligence is mind-blowing. Like, it's mind-blowing, because this is not this is artificial intelligence that is giving this information to a child.
Jackie,
and so
Jackie, you just saying that, guess what happened? When you said Alexa's smart speaker, my speaker came on and said, I am Alexa's smart speaker.
Wow. See,
How you were talking. It blew my mind.
that
okay.
is scary. That's
Hello, I'm
scary.
Alexa's smart speaker. I said, come on.
Oh my goodness. And you know what's even scarier about that?
I had to do like, I said, what's up with that?
Wow.
Yeah. You know what's even scary about that? And I have watched many people do it. Of course, that didn't exist back when my kids were little, but when they got older, I actually went in settings and put that they couldn't pull up content above, let's say, what's suitable for age 10, what's suitable for age 13. And we need to do that in settings, but so often we get this, like Christmas just passed. Kids got tablets, kids got games. Go in the settings and so that you can monitor what your child is viewing, because many people are using these iPads as babysitters now.
You hit it on the head.
So you can't monitor it.
They are babysitters because my daughter, the 3-year-old twins, the way she have her television and everything set up, because they figure everything out. They figure out. She even figured out my daughter's facial expression, where she could pick up my daughter's phone. Her child can pick up her phone and turn her phone on with her face, because their features are so similar. She worked it until she figured it out. And my daughter keeps trying to figure out, how does she get my phone on? She turn it off, she go back, and she take that phone and she swipe it over her face and stuff, and it pops on every time.
Yep. I got a niece like that. And the reason how they knew it, my niece could work and break into an iPad before she could even talk.
Yep.
She kept sitting up in the chair, can't talk, but she could figure out how to break into your phone. And that is because she was given an iPad from the time she could sit up. They eventually figure that stuff out. We got to monitor our kids. Thank you so much, Deontay.
Definitely monitor it. Don't be afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid of it. Government this and government that. Don't be afraid of it, but definitely understand how to use it. Monitor it. Make sure it's in the child settings. A lot of y'all know I got a background in technology. That's what I did in the military. And I actually have my entire house is a smart house. My lights, some of my locks, everything. Smart, top to bottom. So my cameras, everything. So just know what you're doing. If you try to do something like that, make sure your security is up to par. Make sure you have the proper firewalls and things of that nature, so nobody just can't come in and unlock your door while you ain't there. If you're gonna try to do something like that, but definitely parents understand. Like Ebony said, have these settings so that these kids just can't go in there and do whatever they want to. In the case of Alexa, I think Google as well, you can actually go in and set it up where when that system logs in, it only logs in as a child system, and they can't even if they wanted to go to something that they aren't supposed to.
Absolutely. We thank you so much, Deontay, for doing what you do and advising our children. You always step in for our youth. We appreciate that, for representing the 5959 Youth Branch in Georgetown. And today's show, we are celebrating the new year. If you would give us a thumbs up, let us know that you're here. Share this to your page so that people can see exactly what we're talking about. What we have done today is that we were bringing in the new year by reflecting what happened in 2021, by telling our story so that we can move forward into the future in a positive way. And like Mr. Neal always says, that we are stronger together. So we're here to educate, motivate, and activate. We have gone over some different topics that we have gone over for 2021. We even talked about New Year's was Emancipation Day for the enslaved people. And that's where Miss Jackie Williams came in, and she spoke about what some of the meanings for New Year's Eve and how enslaved people count down into the new year, waiting to hear that they were free. With that being said, does anybody have any final words before we go over a few announcements to wrap the show up?
I'd like to say, Ebony, I noticed we have a very distinguished young man on the watching us today. That's Glenn Jackson. He's a retired 06 United States Navy. And we have Chief Waits and George Gals, which all of them are great mentors. When we was thinking about kids, we was thinking about mentorship and keeping their hands on the community, and they are just great people that work for the community. Then you're talking about kids again. I was thinking about the Village Group and the work they do with technology and Boeing and all the different things they do over the summer and throughout the year. And you're talking about Father to Father program, Fatherhood Initiative. Then you have Ruthie Woods and Mary Rice Crenshaw and Tyron Wilson and those that's out in the community doing some of the things that we are talking about right now. So we don't want to leave the show with missing, and those that we haven't even mentioned, but just the great work that they have done. Even the Mitney Project in Georgetown, great work. Denise Chapman with Optimism. These are the people that really keep our community strong. and going. So those are the type of people that we need to really support through the new year. In 5 minutes of your time, you don't have to build a program to mentor a child. Just give them 5 minutes. Give them a couple of minutes. Just look at what Wesley Gibson did just during the Christmas with the young man that thought he might never see a Christmas or have a Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Just what he did there was huge. Something that he just did. Took a young man shopping and helped him understand the importance of really looking at things from the perspective of from economics to value. Not go out and buy $200 sneakers when you could buy a wardrobe for that much. You know what I'm saying? Supporting, and the child was happy, but it's what we tell our children and what we put in front of them. So it's huge. Those are the type of stuff that really make things work. And people like us who support and donate to those type, projects. We have to continue to do that. So my last word is just say thank you and look forward to working with everyone in the new year, especially the pastors, the Divine Nine, the different organizations. We are coming for you because we're going to meet mid-year this year, with the state of the Black community. That's a project we were talking about for a while, working on. And we're going to get there this year. So you're muted.
Thank you so much, Mr. Neal, for your leadership, for all you do. People don't understand the amount of hours, the time it takes, and for everyone on the executive board and on down, all of our chairs, co-chairs. We can go on and on with the organizations that have pulled together. We are stronger together. And moving forward into the new year, we are having a live membership drive. I think everybody on this show is going to be sponsoring someone, and we will pay for your first year membership. Miss Jackie, I know for sure she's going to sponsor somebody also. Miss Marilyn, Deontay, I'm going to sponsor someone.
And 25 youth.
And 25 youth, you said?
25 youth.
All right. So it's no reason not to join. When you join, you don't have to do anything unless you want to, unless you're able to. Just your support in being a member helps our branch. It helps the NAACP be able to help fight with you, for you, on behalf of the community. Just become a member, and all the qualifications for being a member is that your ideals and that your heart really at the end of the day is in the right place, and that you stand with us in solidarity in supporting the brown and Black and underserved community.
And Ebony, one more thing, because I think people look at the smaller picture of the NAACP, but we need to be clear. The NAACP is the lifeblood. Membership is the lifeblood of the NAACP, but the NAACP is the lifeblood of pushing all those voting rights bills forward, those housing discrimination bills forward, these things that cause us to have healthy living and help clean up some of the garbage that we're dealing with from society that affects us from day to day. Part of our membership goes to the national, which they need funds to travel and do all these other things and legal fees to fight some of these housing discrimination issues that we've been dealing with right now in Georgetown. School discrimination, county government, city government, government discrimination. We don't have to sit thin-skinned about this because we are agitators, and we agitate. So if they say, well, why y'all always harassing these people? No, we are waking people up and let them know to stop harassing our people. That's what we are doing. Whether they look like us or don't look like us, it's irrelevant. We deal with situations. That's what we deal with. We deal with organizations, situations. If the person is inclusive, well, that's who we are dealing with. That's what it's all about. So you either be with us, hey.
All right.
The rest out.
That's it. So we reflected on 2021 this year. Happy New Year. And the one thing we want to leave you with is people have the question of how do we move forward? What do we do? And one of those things that you can do is that you can become a member. You can call in, we'll sponsor you. Also, the other thing is that if you don't want to become a member, guess what? We accept checks. We accept cash. We accept donations. We got Cash App. There goes the PO box. Send some money, because there are always things that we can do. Again, Mr. Neal went over all the ways, the things that we have to do to make money. So are there are actually a couple announcements, y'all. One of them is, if you would like to get the COVID booster, they have them available at Toddlands Hospital Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4. You don't need an appointment. You just show up. Any other announcements?
I do want to go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, I was just going to ask a question, Ebony. If you got your regular COVID shot at your doctor's office, can you still just take like your little card and go there and get your? Okay, all right, thank you. I'm definitely going for my booster. Thank you.
Yay!
I got mine. So we're good. We all boosted up. Very good, Jackie. I just want to end, Jackie, my words. It's 2022 that we reflected about what we did. We reflected upon our history, but I also want to express gratitude and thank you to everyone with me today, but also gratitude and looking forward. So I wanted to quote Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who we lost this past week, and acknowledge him and the life that he lived. And there's a quote that he said that hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. And, you know, we still are in dark times. With COVID, our voting rights are under attack. In 2022, we have midterm elections coming up. And I just want to encourage folks not only to get registered to vote, but more importantly, I want you to get knowledge. We want you to get knowledge so that you can make the best decision, because we trust you. Once you get knowledge and receive it, that you will make the best decision for you and for your community. So once again, I want to just leave this quote. I've been using another one all week. And that quote just, we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. And that speaks to why we need to understand our history. But I want to repeat this final quote. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for allowing me to spend some time along with my co-hosts, my fellow members of the NAACP, that you allow us to come into your homes and spend some time with you every Saturday morning at 11 a.m.
Awesome. We appreciate you.
But Ebony, I overlooked something here. And it's so easy to overlook people when you're with them every day commonly. But, you know, I want to express my appreciation definitely for 7 Dimensions, the Gully Get You Chamber of Commerce, Deontay and his counseling services that we ask for volunteer and donating time, and that's expensive at times. Jackie Williams and her ministry, and those that supports us just voluntarily from their standpoint, because it's expensive at times. Y'all donate your time, your monies. We collaborate on everything. I didn't want to overlook that because Ebony has an insurance business. I'd like for you all to talk about what you do just before we close up the show, and that would be my closing, because you all need support also, and I think this is a platform that we need to continue to push all Black businesses and those that supports us also. So, Ebony, you can start with whoever you want to start with and end up with you, and we are done for the day. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. So we'll start with me. I wear multiple hats, y'all, and I probably will miss some things, but I do a nonprofit and ongoing behavioral health service called 7 Dimensions. We're located in Georgetown. Matter of fact, Deontay is on our board, and we basically just participate in improving our community through the 7 dimensions of wellness. I also have an insurance agency, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to be having a grand reopening on January the 12th at 12 o'clock at 1001 Front Street in Georgetown. Be there. We'll have the media out there. You're welcome. We'll have some light refreshments and an open house so you can come on in and see what we're doing. I'm so very excited about that. And for everybody that has supported, I say me, but supported the organization so that we can help people in the community. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Happy New Year. Deontay?
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I am president and CEO of VA Solutions. We are an agency that specializes in counseling for youth, teens, and as well as families. We also offer coaching services and also academic coaching as well. I've partnered with my wife, Dr. Lakiba Winchester, and we are now offering SAT prep, ACT prep, also ASVAB prep as well, and tutoring for certain subjects as well will be offered here shortly. So anything that has to do with mental health, coaching, education, if you need a little bit of consultation, anything of that nature, if you need any information, just reach out to me. You can reach us at 843-968-1048. 843-968-1048, and we'll look out for you.
Thank you. Miss Hemingway.
Hi, I'm CEO and president of the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce, founded and founder, because I started in 2018. Also CEO and founder of the Gullah Geechee Chamber Foundation and the Gullah Geechee Leadership Institute and a couple of other businesses. But this in 2022 is a year of growth for the Gullah Geechee Chamber Foundation and the Gullah Geechee Chamber, because we are going to establish, with the help of a $283,000 grant, the Gullah Geechee Seafood Trail, and it's going to be across 4 states. That's just for South Carolina, and it's here. I'm proud to say that all of this was started right here in our hometown, Georgetown, South Carolina, and we'll be heading towards the United Nations World Tourism Organization also. So we're well on our way with a number of programs, and recently received an $84,000 grant from the Energy Foundation to keep our environmental and energy programs going in 2022. So all of that's rolling out. So it's a year of growth. And if you want to volunteer with me, work with the chamber organizations, you can call 843-318-8644 or email me at marilyn@gullageecheechamber.org. Or just reach out to anyone on this video. They know how to get in touch with me. All right. Thank you, y'all. Have a good 2022. Always enjoy it.
Thank you so much. And finally, but certainly not least, Miss Jackie Williams.
Hello. My name is Jacqueline Williams. I'm a minister. I am the organizer of Jacqueline Williams Ministries, which is an outreach evangelism ministry. I am also the state community and political liaison for the AFL-CIO, and under the awesome leadership of our president, Charles Brave Jr., and I am a business owner. I have an online store called Passage Products, Goods and Services, and I'm a children's book author, working on a series of children's book for melanated children, teaching positive self-imaging through education of our history. I just wanted to say that, and a community activist, I want to say that I celebrate everyone that is on this panel this morning, everyone that is a part of this awesome team.
I celebrate you all. I celebrate each and every accomplishment because I think it is so important for us to celebrate the accomplishments of others. And you guys, I was thinking about you all this morning before I actually came on, and my thought is probably my closing thought, and that is, if I had to go into a battle, who would I go into a battle with? That was my thought. And when I came on, I was like, you know what? If I ever had to go into a battle, this would be the team that I would want to go into a battle with. And in life, you are going to go into some battles. If you are out here living life, let me tell you, be sure that you have a team that if you have to step into a battle, you can look to your left, your right, and they are right there. And so I applaud you guys. You all are so awesome. I'm looking forward to doing 2022 with you all, whatever that brings. But I know one thing, we are battle ready. Yes. Fighting the good fight.
Yes.
Trouble.
Ready to go.
Trouble is not
Good
ours.
trouble.
Lord.
Good trouble. That's it.
And to you
And
all.
also going into 2022, I also just want to say, man, let's just be good to each other, man. Oftentimes I close by saying I love you all. Continue to love yourselves. Love each other, man. It doesn't take much. It don't mean you got to give somebody everything you have. Just do right by each other, man. Don't hurt each other. But whether it be physically or emotionally, man, just do right by each other in this upcoming year, man. Thank God for letting me see another year. I had a recent birthday, and I just sat back and I said, man, this year I'm gonna try my best. I usually do everything I can to help someone else, and I try my best not to do things that I know would be hurtful to others. But moving forward, I'm gonna make a more conscious effort to just continue to better myself and be better to those around me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And matter of fact, we want to give a shout out, and I don't know why it didn't pop up on the screen, from the Goose Creek NAACP. We are stronger together. Yes. I think
they're good too. They're a super team led by God, I forgot her name, but she's a strong young Black female. And I mean, very strong, doing great things in Goose Creek. I mean, just strong, you know, at the Arlington branch. Yeah. Talk with Cedric Spain, Julia Spain and Arlington. I mean, we just got to have a great team. The Clarendon branch yesterday, they doing some work up there with the situation with the school district right now and stuff. And so those are the folks that we just stay in contact with across the state and stuff. And, you know, and a shout out to LDF, the Legal Defense Fund, the National NAACP, the attorneys that works with us, the ACLU, the FLCIO, Jennifer Teague, and all of those work with us. I mean, just great work with redistricting. It's coming up. That's our biggest fight right now is redistricting and retaining the voice. Make sure your voice counted, your vote, one voice. And remember, discrimination, you know, it's not something that just happens. It is made. It is made. Discrimination is made. It just don't happen. So when someone tell you, I'm sorry, no, fix it. Don't just be sorry, fix it and be accountable for it and be responsible for it. That's what it's all about. Everybody can walk away and say, I'm sorry. That lady that helped, you know, these children and stuff by Epstein, you know, she want to say, I'm sorry and walk out of the courtroom. Oh, no, you need to pay a price for a lifetime. But those children going to pay a price for a lifetime. Bottom line.
That's it.
That's what it's all about.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's Spotlight, brought to you by Georgetown Branch number 5520, where we're here to educate, motivate, and activate. We look forward to seeing you next Saturday at 11. Same time, same place. Remember to share this video, and we will see you next time.
Reverend James Swinton, Hello, my brother. That's one of our new members also. Brother James Smith.
Hey, y'all, let's go get some cheesecake together later. And
Hey,
if you
why
know
not?
about the cheesecake, you understand what I just talked about. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, what time? Because I have to go finish this greenhouse first. We still on, Ebony?
if it's
Still on.
Okay.
We about
that's
to
why I
plan-
brought the cheesecake out. If you know about the cheesecake and the Golden Girls, I just
That's
wanted
right,
to-
y'all. All
'cause
right.
She was an ally,
She was.
Hello.
big ally.
Well, give us a call.
Lost work over supporting Black folks. So
Wow.
you know,
Shout
later
out
this
to Betty
afternoon, if
White.
y'all up to it, just let me know.
Shoot us a text, but what, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
If some place is open,